Hi, welcome to tiesn'tags, the show where we're squeaky clean, and we are missionaries.
Have you watched us since that first episode?
No, just the first one.
But so you caught the first time we tried to introduce ourselves.
Our intro just slowly deteriorates every time we start a new episode.
Well, I would argue it wasn't that high to begin with.
I worked hard on whatever we started with.
All we know is we're supposed to say squeaky clean.
At some point.
And that's what we remember.
Maybe I'll just say it like 30 minutes into the next episode. Well,
start the episode with the word squeaky, and the episode with the word.
So this is Squeaky and Clean, the show where we talk about ties and tags and missions. We have a guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Paul Goodman. I served a mission in the Rostov mission in 1994 to 96, which was a long time ago for you guys.
You came home 2 years before I was born.
Crazy. Yep.
Well, all right.
So there it is.
I guess brief introduction of our game. We're playing Mario Bros. Wonder. I have played this for about 5 minutes, so I'm just gonna say that I haven't played this.
And we played it for about 30 seconds to test how many Yoshis can stack on top of each other.
The answer's 2, and I thought it was 1.
All the characters play the same past Toadette, right?
And
yes, that's why there's like that gray side and then the blue side.
It's me.
And if you want to be really entertained, you'll just watch me try and play this game instead of listen to my stories.
Well, you know, we had the idea that we would have me and Mitchell play as the Yoshi, so if you ever needed to tell a story, you can just hop on. But somehow we messed it up and you're the Yoshi.
Oh, I thought you were the Yoshi.
No, I'm Toad.
Okay, so if you hold the left button on your controller, it is B, then you run faster. And yeah, the way I play this game is you never let go of B. This game is adorable. I love all the little animations.
If I go slow enough, then you'll
just get dragged along with us.
It'll be perfect.
Oh, I want the elephant Toad.
It sounds like a foot condition. So is there?
How come you guys are elephants and I'm just like a Yoshi?
That is the drawback to Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yeah. So you can't get hurt, and we can ride on top of you, and you can always eat people.
Well, can an elephant ride on me?
Well,
yes. The answer is yes.
Oh, and I can still spray water.
Nice. So you can eat people if you tap the B button, I think. There you go.
Turns out I can go through one of those pipes with an elephant on my back.
Perfect. So is there anything special you'd like to share about your mission?
First of all, where did you serve your mission?
Actually,
have you said that yet?
Yeah, I think I did. I served in Rostov na Donu in Russia. And maybe just a quick introduction. So when I started my mission, well, the mission itself started the day I started the MTC, so it was a brand new mission.
Oh.
And missionaries had only been in Russia for a couple of years. So the first missionaries, I think, went into Russia in 1991, and then they started forming missions after that. So the year I started, they formed 2 or 3 more missions. I think there were 6 or 7 total. But because it was new, there was hardly anyone there. So when I got to Russia, there were 17 members of the church in our mission. 5 of those had been baptized that week. And there was one person who held priesthood, but he died shortly after we got there. And so we didn't have any member leadership. It was all just missionaries.
So how big, like geographically, if there was that, like how far spread out were these members?
So 17 members. There were probably about 10 in my city, Rostov. There were 4 in Sochi, which is about an overnight train ride south. And there was 3 or however many is left there. 3, I think, in Volgograd, which was an 18-hour train ride to the east.
And these were all separate areas in your mission, right? You didn't have to.
And we only had missionaries in 2 cities for almost my entire mission. So I served my whole mission in Rostov. Actually, only in 3 areas my whole time there. My last area was for a full year.
You got me beat. I had 4.
And so the other fun thing was, because the mission was new, we didn't have a mission office yet, or a mission home. They were all under construction. So my apartment that I shared with 3 other elders was also the mission office. It was one room. It was a bedroom and then a little living area and then the kitchen.
Did it feel more like an office, or did it feel more like a...
It had an entire mission's worth of office supplies in it. Along with 4 missionaries. So my companion and I slept on the floor, and we didn't have any hot water. We had cold water. So my first P-Day, I missed my first P-Day flying out to Russia. So by the time P-Day rolled around, I had 10 white shirts to wash, and we just had a bucket. You know, you fill up in the tub and then heat some water on the stove.
You had to hand wash everything?
It took me hours that first day to wash everything that I owned. But it was exciting. It was good. My mission president lived in a hotel, in-tourist hotel. He lived in the honeymoon suite, which is where I had my first interview with him. Just me and him sitting in the honeymoon suite. It was great. My mission president was actually born in the Ukraine, and he was a refugee during World War II, went to the United States, and then lived in Idaho. He was a football coach. So, super great guy. Just changed my life. He's very influential.
We got someone in the chat asking if we can hear some Russian.
You want to hear some Russian? Я все забыл. Мой русский язык. Ничего не помню. Недавно я старался говорить с человеком по-русски, и он не хотел. Он сказал, давайте поговорим по-английски.
I'm gonna trust you on that one.
I remember a little bit, not much. Because our mission was so small, I think we had about 24 missionaries there when our group of 8 got there. And so when I don't know what I was going to say, but it was so small, and then all the original missionaries who opened the mission went home within 3 to 6 months. And so then it was just my group. There was one group ahead of us, and then my group. We were the oldest ones in the mission at 6 months.
Wow.
And in 3 months, when my trainer went home, I ended up being the district leader because the other 5 elders were all there the same or less time than me, including 3 that were brand new to the country. So a lot of time was spent trying to learn Russian, trying to figure out how to communicate. But fun times. Really.
How long do you think it took you to feel like you were functional in your Russian?
About 2 years. No.
Say, how much longer do you think?
I actually took Russian in high school.
Really?
And in college at BYU before I got my call. So that really made a big difference for me. I was able to converse with people. I wasn't good at it, but I was able to get by, which was really helpful. I have to shout out to my mom, who's the one that made me take Russian in high school, and I'll always be grateful that she did. It was really good. So.
Oh yeah. You made a list before you came here
I did.
of all the fun stories you wanted to tell.
My mission was so different than I think missions for the missionaries so I live in Delaware, and partly we just like missionaries, and partly we had our second daughter's been serving a mission, and we just got home from a mission And so we've stayed pretty close to the missionaries in our ward. But I tell you what, their missions feel very different than mine was. We had a lot of crazy things happen.
I'll bet.
So.
Anything come to mind from your list that you'd want to share?
I don't even know.
Well, and I guess
start.
here's the other thing to bring up, Mitchell, is I'm proposing a game today.
Okay.
Every time Paul shares a story, you and I say whether or not we have an equivalent story, and then at the end of the episode we can say
Really see how different our missions were?
who served the closest to Russia.
I'm down for that.
All right.
I think that's fun.
So,
I'm thinking I might change over to Yoshi so you can hop on me sometimes.
okay. Let me know when you want to switch.
Or we can just do it in between any
Yeah,
level.
we'll just do it. We'll both be Yoshi.
Okay. Let's see. Fun stories.
And you can pull out your list too.
Well, one funny story that I enjoy telling is the Americans in Russia kind of stood out. No matter what we tried to do, you could always tell were the missionaries, especially in the wintertime, because back in the 90s, all the missionaries would take these big black kind of trench coat, vest coat kind of things.
Yeah.
And everyone thought we were CIA in my whole mission. But we'd wear these big black coats around. And anyway, one day we went to go do a discussion in this tall apartment complex where we went up. I think we're supposed to go meet the guy on the 8th floor. And one thing that you should know about Russian elevators is they're very small. So it's like one or two people can comfortably stand in them if you don't have too much personal space boundary issues. And so the three of us kind of smashed into this elevator, went up to the 8th floor, got off and walked down to the hall and knocked on the door. Of course, the guy wasn't home. So we went back to the elevator to get off, and while we're waiting for the elevator, we hear it coming up, and the stairs wrap around the elevator.
Okay.
And so there's like 3 flights of stairs, and then you walk across the elevator, and then 3 more little landings. Well, we hear this dog barking in the elevator as it's coming up. And we're like, wow, that's really loud. And it stops at our level, and this dog jumps out that I swear it was taller than us, but I'm sure it wasn't. But it was one of those really big Mastiff
Oh, wow.
dogs. I was just
You said jumped out at you?
Yeah.
Oh.
And like coming at us. And so we were a threesome. There was 3 of us. And I don't know if it was me that led the way or so. I think it was one of my companions started running down the stairs. And so we all followed him, right? And you know what happens when you run away from a dog, right? So this dog starts following us.
I was going to say, I know what happens when you run on flat ground, but I don't know what happens when a dog runs down the stairs.
And so I don't know if you've ever seen those cartoons where, they're all climbing the rope and they're climbing over each other.
Uh-huh.
So we're running down the stairs and we're like jumping over and past each other. you kind of take one step and then jump to the landing, one step, jump to the landing,
Uh-huh.
And so all 3 of us were just trying to not be the last one. And of course this is a cement chamber, right?
Uh-huh.
And so the echoing of this massive dog pounding down the stairs after us just has the whole neighborhood, you could hear it, I'm sure, for blocks. And finally we got down the 8 flights of stairs. We burst out the door at the bottom. These 3 missionaries. I went left. One of my companions fell down. The other one went right.
Oh my gosh. It was a hootie chase.
The dog took after my companion. The one that kept running chased him like a couple of blocks. And I turned to the right when I saw he wasn't chasing me anymore. I looked around and there's people everywhere just staring. It's what just happened?
Good attention as a missionary.
Came out of the... But anyway, we survived that. That was exciting.
So JJ, whose missions were similar?
Oh. Let's see, I don't think I have any story about being chased by a dog where I didn't just pretend to throw a rock at the dog and solve the problem.
That's how most of my dog experiences were. But I will say that like it wasn't uncommon for everyone around me to say like, I know CIA, and just
I never got that.
You didn't get that?
not
I
wow.
got it every.
We
I got it almost every week, probably.
We got it all the time, but I think a very big difference between my mission and yours is we didn't really have a terrible negative consequence for playing along with someone doing that. Every once in a while, my companion and I would just like lean into a pen in our pocket and pretend it's a microphone. It's like, Parker just noticed us. That would not go well in your mission. No,
that did not go well.
So my mission, they would all call us Joe based off the G.I. Joe, but that's just because the Americans, our military, spent a lot of time in the Philippines, and so it was more just a cultural. I don't think it's anywhere near the level. So I think Mitchell, you win. Your mission is the most Russian when it comes to being called people thinking you're part of the
I'm amazed you never got that, not once.
That's crazy.
Look at Yoshi's face. Oh man, that's just, I love that.
I could almost fly here forever if I didn't get landed on by a hippo.
We'll use the R button too.
Oh no.
Which is the hippo?
The one on the top right.
The right button.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one that just killed me?
Oh, I was not looking.
All right. Next topic. Next topic is bad landlords. I had probably the worst landlord that I had was the one that just was really bad. So the first thing that happened when I moved into this area, this is the area I was in for a year, is toilet flushing.
You weren't in that apartment for a year, were you?
No.
Okay.
But we called the landlady and she's like, oh, we'll get it fixed. And so they came over the next day while we were out cross-lighting and they took the toilet out. But they got busy and they didn't put a new one back in. And so we got back that night and we're like,
Just bare pipes in a hole?
there's no toilet. It's just a little hole in the bottom of the floor. So we're like, okay.
Did you use the hole or would you go somewhere else?
We, that's a good question. So that night we just went out, there's a little courtyard outside of our apartment block. And we just went, there's some trees back there, and we just kind of discreetly walked over there in our white shirts and ties. And I'm sure nobody noticed. Took care of things. And we're like, well, surely, they'll fix it tomorrow, right? Well, that didn't happen. And of course, we didn't have any members in our area. Because it's a new area, and they hadn't had any members yet. So there's no public restrooms out there. So we were relying on discussions in order to go to the bathroom during the day. and then at night we just went back out to the woods.
Oh my gosh. How long did that go on?
This went on for 7 days. No toilet for 7 days. We were excited when we finally got a toilet.
Did you have any experiences with people being suspicious of you for
going out to the woods every night?
Well, no, for going into their house for the sole purpose of going to the bathroom.
We tried to be discreet, it's like, okay, let's have a conversation, let's have a discussion, and then we'll,
I was gonna say, I thought you loved the internal investigators there because you know you can get in with them.
Yes. And then, but that wasn't why she was a bad landlord. That was actually the best thing she did for us. The worst thing happened about a month or two later. It was in summertime, and it was our P day, and we went out to go shopping, and she's sitting down on the bench at the bottom of our building. And so we talked to her, asked her how she was doing. She's like, oh. She'd call us boys. Oh, boys, not feeling so great. Kind of not feeling good. We're like, oh, sorry about that. And And we went left and we went over to the store, bought all of our food and everything. We came back after a couple of hours later and got all our food for the week. And there's the door's locked.
To your apartment?
It's locked from the inside with the chain link, the chain lock. So we couldn't get in. We're like, well, she must be in there. So we pounded on the door, no response. It's like, she's in there, but she's either unconscious or drunk or something because... So we went over to the next area over and dropped our stuff off at the missionary's house. And we're like, well, because we pounded on the door. She didn't answer. And of course, back then, there's no phones, no cell phones or anything. So, came back. So we went out proselyting that evening. Came back to the apartment about, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And at this time, the door's still locked. And we look in and we can see her clothes are like scattered across the floor.
Wait, look in. Were you like peeping in a window or something?
No, well, when you open the chain, when the chain lock, it opens up like that far.
Gotcha.
Right? And there's like beer bottles and stuff. We're like, oh man. So we're like calling, we're yelling, we're banging on the door. Nothing. Like, is she dead in there? Is she? So they're like, well, we can't stay here tonight because she won't respond. And it's now dark. It's getting late. What do we do? And so we went over and found a payphone, called Mr. President, and he's like, well, just go over to some other elder's house for the night, which we did. She ended up moving in.
What?
We after about 2 or 3 days, we went and the neighbors helped us break down the chain link. They just got out some bolt clippers and just cut the chain, and we got out some clothes. And by that time, she was in one of our beds, just like passed out, asleep. Beer bottles everywhere. So we got our stuff and then we went out and stayed with some other elders. She was there for about a week or two, and then we finally got back in our apartment and we're like, we're not renewing the lease, by the way. It's like, what? Why not?
Maybe she just didn't remember those couple days.
But when she finally left, like the whole place is filled with cockroaches.
Oh.
It was just nasty. That was not one of the better apartments we stayed in.
Okay, Mitchell.
I'm noticing you didn't say that wasn't your worst, but
it wasn't one of the better ones.
Okay, I can think of a couple ways my mission was pretty similar. Not quite, but not quite that extreme. So my first day, it looks like we can go up top there. Let's see if we can oh, that's out. My first day on my mission, I went to the mission home and it was assigned my trainer, and my trainer left his backpack in the yard of the house, the mission home, and we went outside and he looked out and his backpack was gone. My companion was Jamaican, so I don't know if this is a common thing to carry with you, but he's like, I need that backpack. I was like, yeah, it probably has your scriptures and stuff. He's like, no, my backpack had my birth certificate, a change of clothes, my passport, this and that, and it's just every important document you could think of he had in that backpack that was stolen on my first day of being with him. So it also had the key to our apartment.
Oh no.
So I had all my luggage that I brought with me to my mission.
Which also has your passport.
All of it. Mine wasn't stolen though. Which is funny because actually, now that I think about it, everyone's suitcases were all piled in one spot, and that's where his backpack was. And someone stole his backpack, but left the suitcases alone. Maybe they thought it'd be less noticeable or something.
Yeah.
But that's probably true because I had a huge suitcase. So we were just we have nowhere to go. We gotta go talk to our landlord and figure out how to get back home. So the first couple hours of my mission is walking around with my companion. Oh, that's fun. trying to get a hold of our landlord, have him find us a spare set of keys so that we can get back into our home, all while, you know, carrying my luggage around. And I'm not, you know, understanding anybody. This is day one of my mission. I don't know where we're going right now. And so my companion, who's Jamaican, and I've mentioned this before in the show, but my companion is Jamaican, and other Jamaicans would say he's from the bush. He's from out in the jungle. He's like more wilderness Jamaican. So his patois, his like the Jamaican English, was just really, really thick. And I'd ask people in the first city I went to, like, what's my companion saying? They're like, we don't know either. I'm sorry. So I was trying to understand what my companion was telling me. He was trying to navigate me around town. We probably should have done something instead of fall right into the pit. Oh, we have the hat.
That's how Mario games go.
And we go up top here. Okay. The other thing that's similar, besides getting locked out day one, is if we left any food, like in anything, even if it was in the trash can, there would be maggots all over the floor. And that happened to me also in the first week of my mission, and my companion's like, oh, it's the maggots. And I didn't know that it was because he left like some beef in the trash can that there was maggots all over the floor. I thought just like, oh, that's Jamaica, there's maggots on your floor every other day. And so we just swept them up and put them in the trash can. But no, it's just don't store meat in your trash can in a tropical country. All right, JJ, how's your mission, Russian?
My second area, we didn't have problems so much with the landlord, just a little bit. But so there was no way for trash, and so we just had a big pile. We would light the trash on fire every night.
Just a chore.
Yeah, it was just a chore, and I didn't think anything of it. We didn't have running water. We had a pump. And so we would, I think I pressed a button, we would pump our water every day. And it wasn't drinking water, but that's what we used for the dishes and everything. And so we did that for about a week, and then the pump broke. And the pump was broken for the next transfer and a half that I was there. And so we just didn't have water for showers or for dishes, and so we would buy extra drinking water, and then we would shower like before church, and we would, we never did the dishes because of it. It's like, well, what are we gonna do? We don't have water, and so it was a whole complicated situation. But that house was the house that chickens would fight on the roof every morning. That's how we woke up, and then I woke up with a frog on me one day. I killed 4 rats in that apartment, and then we had people would climb through a gap in the bathroom ceiling and break in and steal money and things while we were gone during the day. So, whose mission was most Russian?
Wow. I like the no water for a month and a half. I went through no hot water and periodic no cold water, but I have to vote for that one. Although the maggots are pretty good too.
Okay, so that's 1 point for me being more Russian and 1 point for Mitchell, is that right?
Yes.
Sounds like it.
You got it.
Oh, shoot.
One each. So when I was early on in my mission, I told you that my trainer went home and I became a trainer, senior companion, and district leader in 3.5 months. I did not know what I was doing. So, one of the things that I had to learn is how to be, appropriately discerning in who we went to go visit. And we set up. So this is, I'm still figuring out the language. I'm still figuring out missionary work. We bumped into this guy. Big, huge guy, bald, muscles. But we told him we wanted to come teach him, and he's like, "Sure, come on over. Why don't you come over next Thursday? At 7 o'clock." We're like, "Okay." We wrote down the address, and then for the next week, we saw him everywhere. It was kind of weird. It was like we'd be like buying bread over at the market, and we look up and he's just like standing there looking at us. We're like, oh, okay, hi, we'll see you on Thursday. Right? So pretty soon, Thursday finally rolls around, and in this area, this is it was a brand new area. We didn't have any members yet in that area, and it kind of went down. There was kind of a residential area, and then it went down to the river, and down by the river was the poorer section where they didn't have power or running water, or, any of that. And so we start walking down there. 7 o'clock. It's dark or getting dark as we're walking down there, and we're walking further and further down the hill toward the river, and we finally got to his house. And his house, all the private houses, they have big fences across the front of their yard, kind of like your neighbors that built that fence over the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So the road is just a line of fences, right? And so we knocked on his fence, and he let us in to this little tiny house, and it was like the size of this room plus a little tiny kitchen and a little tiny bathroom. And inside the room, there was a table and 3 wooden chairs, and then a giant picture of Stalin on the wall. Little, single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. And the guy, I'm not kidding you, he's sitting there with a butcher knife, sharpening it. I mean, you can't make this up.
Oh my gosh!
And we're like, hi. He's like, oh, how are you guys doing? I hope you don't mind, some of my friends are coming over later. And we're like, huh, this doesn't feel very safe. So we talked to him for a minute or two, and they were like, we kind of have to go. He's like, oh, you don't have to go yet. My friends will be here soon. We're like, no, we really have to go. You can come. You can find us at church. We told him to come to church. And by this time, just his whole demeanor and everything was just freaking us out. We were so scared. And so we left his house, and by now it's full dark, pitch black. And because there's no electricity down there, and so it's dark. And of course we don't have flashlights and don't have cell phones or anything. So we're walking up this hill right along this fence, and suddenly, right out of nowhere, this big old dog just starts going crazy on the other side of the fence, which is like 3 inches from us, right? Scared us to pieces, and we kept hearing things. We thought we heard the guy chasing us. So we start running. We ran all the way home. Well, we got home, and of course there's no power that night because the power is somewhat intermittent. And so we're feeling our way into the apartment, and one of us bumped there was a bookshelf with sliding glass across the front that you could open to get into the books. And bumped the glass out. The glass fell out, shattered everywhere. It's still pitch black. We're trying to find some matches, trying to find a candle to light. We were so freaked out. We were sure that the guy had followed us home. And so I got my pocket knife out of my suitcase and stuck that under my pillow, and I slept with my pocket knife that night. And we never saw him again. We didn't die, so it was good.
Okay, whose mission was restoration?
I'm trying to think.
So, in the southern part of the Philippines, not where I serve, so this is a bit of a cheat on me, but they do have a lot of people there where they will not send white missionaries there because they will be killed there.
Oh.
And I had a companion for that area. And I could tell. And so I won't go into all the stories there. So, but there were some interesting things, but not nearly like that. One time my companion told me to run. There was a different companion. He told me to run. And you don't question it when you're 3 months into mission. And he said there was a guy threatening us with a gun. So, whether or not that was true, I can never tell. I trust the companion, but that's the closest I have to anything like that.
And I guess in one of my areas, they recently stopped allowing sisters in that area because it was a little dangerous. They people there would say it was hot because there was active gang war happening in that area. And so the problem with that is that we would this area was just massive, so it wasn't the whole area that was involved. It was just happened to be the one part of the area that had everyone we wanted to teach. Was like the dangerous part that we weren't supposed to teach. So we ended up being there. We basically set a rule for ourselves to not be in that part of our area when it was dark. And we broke that every once in a while, which was a little scary. But the first time we broke that, and we were down in that area longer than we wanted to be, was when I was with my trainee in like the second week of his mission. We taught a really good lesson. We were all happy, and then this girl sees us on the street when it's dark, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And then we're like, "We just taught a lesson," and she's like, "Run." What?
Okay, Mitchell's mission.
Okay, Mitchell gets the point on that.
But that might just be because I refuse to share my story.
I did have an area added to my second area that missionaries have been pulled out of because of death threats.
Oh, man.
And I was lucky enough to have a companion who had served in... he wasn't like in the Navy SEALs, but he was like in Special Forces in the military, and I felt very safe around him. I was grateful to have him with me whenever we went out there, which was not too often. So, actually, I think it was because of some incidences that happened there that they told us not to wear name tags on our mission.
Oh, really?
So for
in any area?
Yeah, for the last 15 months of my mission, I didn't wear missionary tags.
Wow.
I was the ties, ties and tags. Okay, so I want to tell you about a really cool family that I met. This was a couple that were very believing, but in Russia, under communism, state religion is not religion is atheism, and so that was very much not discouraged. Like if you went to the Russian temples or churches there, which you could do, but then there could be consequences.
Oh.
And so, for example, you couldn't get a hold of Bibles. You couldn't get a hold of a lot of things like that, and so this guy, because he wanted to believe, or he believed, he had faith. He couldn't get a hold of a Bible anywhere, but he had an acquaintance who had a Bible, and he was an amateur photographer. So he borrowed the Bible from his friend and took a photograph of every page. And
this was like 90s, so is this like...
No, this would have been... Yeah, so I was there early 90s. This would have been like the 70s.
Oh.
This would have been like the 70s or 80s. And then he developed the film in his own house and printed them all, in his own house on that really thick kind of cardboardy paper.
Uh-huh.
And then he stuck it together, and his Bible was like that tall. It looked just like the gold plates. It was like big, heavy paper, one photograph at a time. And but just good people. They had a lot of interesting theories, but they did get baptized, and just good people. They always fed me pancakes when we went there.
Nice.
Russian pancakes.
What makes a Russian pancake different?
They're kind of thicker and heavier, and these were coated in sugar.
I was going to say, is it like how Mickey Mouse pancakes are shaped like Mickey's head, or are they shaped like Stalin's head?
They were not shaped like Stalin's head.
Just like the mustache.
It's just Stalin's mustache.
Just the mustache. So anyway, that was kind of fun.
Okay, whose mission is most Russian?
So in Jamaica, it was kind of the opposite because the country was predominantly Christian. So it was really uncommon.
Same with ours.
Uncommon for someone to it would be unusual if you said, here's a free thing about Jesus. Do you want it? And someone said no. That just...
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I ever had that happen on my mission.
You guys both get zeros.
Okay.
But...
Oh, wait. I hear a but.
There's a but. The other thing is that a lot of people couldn't read. So the materials that, like, I wouldn't say it's hard to get a person, give them a Bible, but it was uncommon for us to give them a Bible because we'd always end up giving them either the kids version, like the Book of Mormon stories or Bible stories books with all the pictures. That's what people would request most often. The other thing was that it was really hard for people to get glasses. So if people had poor eyesight, the only option was to get them a big Bible. And there was one person where they were legally blind. I think they had some sight. Oh, I've been paying attention to our lives.
What? We're game over?
Whoops. They had some eyesight, but they had a really hard time seeing. So for the first time ever, we requested from Salt Lake to bring a Braille Book of Mormon. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was going to be a little thicker, maybe one of those big copies of the Bible or something. Uh-huh. It was 6 full 3-inch binders. Oh, yes. Whoever's player 3's got to mash a button. I don't know who it is.
I'm sure it's me.
Okay. That we had to lug around and carry, because we were just going to go to the mission office because we were serving in the area with the mission office in it, and then bring it to the people that wanted it. And we carried around 6 binders and walked it to the person that ordered it.
Do I have the crown?
Are you Yellow Yoshi? You decide what happens. We'll just let you take the reins. Where do we go?
We're going to Bull Rush Express.
Woo! So I think Mitchell's the most Russian.
Because you had a story about a Bible?
Yeah. What's our score?
Oogie to
I think I won 1.
It's 1-2, I think.
1-2, okay.
Yeah.
So those landlords. There was Bible. I
won landlords.
Scary Stalin investigator.
Most exciting thing you ever found on the black market. For me, it was peanut butter. We found
Wait, when you say black market, what do you say?
The market. Okay.
I was gonna say all we found was pirated movies.
So in Russia, going shopping is a little different in the United because the whole economy had collapsed, right? And so you didn't really buy stuff in the stores. You bought stuff on the street, which used to be the black market, and then by the time I got there, it was just normal. So, but they still, I don't know, it was kind of the black market, but not really. But you sometimes you could find stuff there that had been imported in from Europe primarily. Although sometimes you get stuff from China and other places. So we found peanut butter once. So we just bought everything we had, the whole box, the whole case, and then we ate it. We showed people,
introduced them to the
how to
wonders
make
of peanut butter
sandwiches. None of the Russians liked it, and. So we went back, he got it in one other time, and we bought the whole case that day. And then we asked him, he's like, are you ever going to get any more? He's like, why should I get more? You guys just buy it. And we're like, that's the whole point! That's capitalism, my friend! But we never got it again. We found tuna-fish a couple of times, too. That was exciting. And one elder who's returned home, I ended up delaying by 6 weeks. I felt kind of bad. Had found root beer, an aluminum can of root beer, and he'd saved it his entire mission. And when he was unable to go home at the end of his mission, he was so distraught that he forgot to drink the root beer. And I ended up in his apartment after he finally left, and so I drank the root beer with my companion.
So is this more black market or just American food you found?
It could be American anything you found.
I found Rice Krispies.
Best thing you found and
I felt very proud of that.
So for us, going shopping for food was like an adventure. You never knew what you were going to find. You might find nothing, but you might find
Life's a box of chocolate. Shopping's a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So, all right, do you have something in mind, JJ?
Besides Rice Krispie treats, no.
Okay, this wasn't like at a market, I should say, but the most exciting American thing that I found, I guess two. So Jamaica, like you couldn't really find like American stores that would have American products, but in Kingston, the capital, there was Price Smart, which was the Caribbean, like the store that, like the Caribbean version of Costco, basically the same people owned it, called Price Smart. So, being the Kingston missionaries with a car, people would come to us and say, "You're at Price Smart. Can I buy razors, American razors? Can I buy protein powder? Can I buy?" Just people would always ask for the Price Smart because that's where you get American stuff. The thing that I liked was Kingston had Wendy's, which it wasn't like the most common thing to find in Jamaica, but the one thing about Wendy's that nowhere else on the island had was American ketchup. Jamaican ketchup was just like, it was weird. It was really sweet.
What is it? Banana ketchup?
Well, they're banana.
That's how it was in the Philippines. Right?
We had it was tomato, but it was just really sugary, and then there was pumpkin. But Jamaican pumpkin is like a different kind of gourd.
Pumpkin ketchup?
Yeah, I thought it was actually pretty good. I'd put that in my eggs in the morning. But the American ketchup, I didn't think I'd miss it that much. But after having sweet Jamaican ketchup on all my burgers, whenever I craved something American for like a year and a half, I realized that that's what I wanted, American ketchup. And then Burger King.
Krispies is cool.
It is way better, I'd say.
Defined.
Because then Burger King was the only place that had mustard. Everywhere else, just nowhere else on the island. I couldn't even find somewhere to buy it. It's just Burger King just had it.
You had to go to fast food restaurants to get American food.
All right. Well, I'll give you Rice Krispies because I didn't hear you talking about fast food. They didn't have fast food yet in Russia, except in Moscow. And so when I was on my way home, at the end of my mission, we got to Moscow in the evening and we weren't flying out till the next morning. And so we went over to Red Square and then we found McDonald's at Red Square and I had the first fast food in 2 years. And I could not believe how amazing it was.
How far into your mission was this?
2 years.
Oh, the very end.
The last day.
Okay.
So yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Never jumped on that. Okay, so we're 2 for 2.
2 to 2.
This isn't staged, we swear.
All right. Gotta come up with another topic. Since I think
what craziest lesson? What would you do for fun? How did you contact?
So we only tried knocking on doors once or twice because they always called the cops.
Oh, really?
In Russia...
Did they come?
Yeah, in Russia you don't open your door to anybody that you don't know. You just don't do it. So we figured out pretty quickly that knocking on doors is not a good idea. So we did all street contacting because we don't have members. Because of the 3 areas that I lived in, my first area was brand new with no members. My second area had 2 members in it, and when I got there, and then my third area had no members in it when I got there.
So did you travel for a long time to get to a branch, or did you just have a 2-person or 5-person branch for a while?
We had very small churches. We'd have, at least at the beginning, we'd have more missionaries than members. So typically we'd have like 6 or 8 missionaries and 3 or 4 or 5 members. And then slowly, it would grow. But yeah, the missionaries kind of did everything at the beginning because nobody had the priesthood, and
right.
nobody, we'd teach Relief Society and we'd teach primary. Church was only 2 hours, which doesn't sound that exciting now, but I remember getting home after my mission and I could not believe how long church was. It killed me. But
I was gonna say I had 2 hour church on my mission, so I must be the most question.
I forgot what your question was.
Well, I just listed off a bunch of potential subjects.
Oh.
Yeah, it was as you were pulling your list back out, so if there's one on your list.
Yeah. Oh, I would say some funny stories about teaching. So I think that my mission was the reason for a lot of rule changes in missionary work. One of them was, back then, there were no rules about kids, and so we were teaching one family that had probably a 5 or 6 year old that was as wild as they come, and she was so crazy that we couldn't teach while she was running around. So one of us would hold her, and the other one would teach. But she was also a biter. And she would bite our arms while we were holding her so the other one could teach the lesson. And then we'd come back in the next lesson, and one of us would have bite marks all up and down our arms. We'd have to wear long sleeve shirts to cover all the bite marks.
Oh, man.
But they did get baptized. There's a great family.
Oh, yeah.
Great people. Great people. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, so we had the rule where missionaries can't hold children. That was probably the most commonly broken rule in my mission. But, so, I feel like anytime, because, you'd want to teach families, but I feel like anytime we taught a family with young children, it was like, the missionaries would say, like, and then Joseph Smith saw God the Father, and you just hear, Justin, get down, get out of there, Justin, continue, Justin, and then, so it'd be hard to teach families, but there was one family that, like, we loved teaching this family, and they had a kid that, like, we were a little scared she was going to bite us, because, her baby teeth were deteriorating in such a way where, like, it's just flossing would have fixed it, but they didn't have floss, I guess. She looked like she had shark teeth because the in between every tooth was worn down, so every tooth came to a point. And we're like, she's gonna bite one of us one day, and it's gonna be the worst experience. But she was like the sweetest kid. We did witness her bite someone, but it wasn't a missionary.
All right. Well, that's somewhat relevant, JJ. No pressure.
Oh, I feel like I had a winner 3 seconds ago, but I forgot it.
Oh no! I didn't forget.
Okay, so the topic is kids. So, speaking of people holding kids being the most broken rule, constantly walking down the street, just kids jumping on me because I'm 6 feet tall, and the tallest adult they've ever seen is 4 foot. So I become playground. So I would constantly just have kids climbing. I never had a kid bite me. Normally, if we sat kids down for formal lessons, they would kind of sit quietly, and they wouldn't disrupt things. Like they were pretty polite, even if we could tell they didn't want to be there. So, yeah, I don't think I had anything close to a bite, but I did end up just having 3 kids dangling off my arms.
Wait, go back.
So I don't know who's the most Russian.
I like the teeth.
do we go down?
Okay. So what are we? I've got 2, Mitchell's got 3. So we're
Yeah, I think so. All right. I had a next topic and then I forgot.
Contacting, what'd you do for fun?
Oh, street contacting.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, we didn't knock on doors, but we did. We
need to go back.
walk the streets and talk to people. And our favorite place to go is the park, just because we could find families.
What was a Russian park like?
Russian parks are. Most of the Russian parks that we went to were primarily wooded areas with walkways through them.
Okay.
There's a couple little playgrounds, but for the most part it wasn't playgrounds. It was just places you could go walk. There'd be like benches along the sidewalks going through the trees. Really, really peaceful. Really enjoyed it. And so yeah, that's all we would do. We'd just talk to people all day long, except when we had discussions. I remember my first day, we went out street contacting, and my trainer was really good because he didn't speak any English to me. Super frustrating at the beginning, because I'd ask him, how do I say this word, or what does this word mean in Russian? And he'd explain it to me in Russian. And be like, It was so frustrating. But at the same time, in 3 months, he taught me so much Russian because he was forced it day, night, everywhere. So the first day we're out, and he did a couple of contacts, and then he's like, all right, your turn. And all I knew was, hi, can we talk to you for a few minutes? And then I'd say, well, tell me how you feel about God, or what your feelings are about religion. And so the first guy I talked to, I said, hey, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And what I heard from him was, he said yes. He said something about believe. And then he said some stuff I didn't know, but I was excited, and I was building on common beliefs. So I was like, exactly, that's what we believe too. And my companion is like, actually, so I finally found out the guy had said that he believed that Jesus was a fairy tale.
Oh.
And I just caught that I believed, and I was off to the races.
Okay, Mitchell, worst translation.
That wasn't my worst translation. That was a funny one.
Okay, decent translation.
Well, I guess I wasn't going to go for translation. I was going to go...
Language
barrier?
Barrier.
I got one other thing, though, because mine wasn't really a translation. It was just like a different interpretation of a belief in Christ. Just like we would meet a lot of people on the street, and we'd say something like, do you believe in modern-day prophets? Because they're all, familiar with Christianity. Most people are Christians. And a lot of people would be like, of course I'm familiar. I am one. But there was one day where all of us missionaries were just, we were playing basketball in the morning for exercise. And this guy comes up to us. He just sees a cluster of missionaries. And he's like, elders, he probably said Normans, because that's what everyone called us. He said, Normans, I got to tell you something. And everybody, he's like, we got to stop our basketball game, but let's hear him out because we're missionaries. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he starts preaching a sermon. He starts telling us, like, we all know that we need to believe in God the Father and the Holy Ghost. And one of the missionaries chimes in and he says, and Jesus Christ. And he's like, I know, I am him. I'm getting there. And you're like, oh no. This conversation went longer than we wanted it to already. But that would happen every once in a while. It's just people would come up to us and just try to talk about how I'm the person that all the prophecies in the Bible talk about. It's me. Let me show you why. And we're like, no. And toward the end of my mission, one of my friends, he would run, not just walk away in the middle of someone talking. He would start sprinting away to save time, because he'd just be like, this conversation is not going anywhere. I'm not wasting any more time. I got a month left on my mission, and he'd just zoom off.
So I feel bad because I told this story last week, but this is my
cheater.
This is my chance at competing.
So if you click R, you go faster in the water. That's why we got that flower boost.
In Tagalog, or in the Philippines, there are multiple dialects.
Oh.
one of which was Ilocano, and so most everybody spoke Tagalog. But you get to certain areas, it'd be bilingual and essentially speak the other one more, unless the person didn't know, in which case they spoke Tagalog. But so I
just take the crown from me.
I can't. It's yours.
It's mine.
So in Ilocano, in Tagalog, tatay is what you call an older man, or even just an adult man. It's just guy. And so another greeting is hello po. And I'm remembering it better this week than last week. But so in Tagalog it becomes hello po tay, and it's just tay is nickname for tatay, and it's just hey grandpa kind of thing. But in Ilocano, if you combine po and tay, it means essentially poop. But not in a good way. And so I went up to this guy, I'm like, hello po tay, and essentially to him I said, hey you little. And
that's not
my companion called me out on it. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm 3 months into the mission at that point. I'm just trying to speak Tagalog, and yeah, so that's my biggest language error.
funny. All right.
So who's the most Russian?
I don't think either is particularly Russian.
Yeah.
They're both great stories. I'll give you both a point.
Just another way of saying
I'd
no one
rather
gets a
neither
point.
have a point. Yeah.
Okay, nobody gets a point for that one.
Okay.
So let me ask, in Russia, was there like, so in Jamaica, people would they would get each other's attention in a very different way culturally. Like if there is a bald, overweight person over there, they're gonna shout, "Baldy, fatty, come over here!" And it's not to be rude. It's just
that's how you talk.
that's just how you address someone.
Hey, you in the purple shirt.
Yeah.
Like that's how we would do it here. But if someone is hair disadvantaged and
Hair disadvantage. Hey, who are you talking to?
I mean, but I almost prefer baldy.
I'll have you know I wasn't particularly hair disadvantaged 30 years ago.
I wasn't saying that. But what I'm saying is,
So we all hold you. -1 point, right?
-1 right there.
It's 10 points for
my question was, do Russians address people that way? Like, did you have a little cultural barrier in that way? Would people address you in different ways?
So, not exactly the way you described, but there were some differences culturally in the way they talk. And one of the things, and it might just be everyone's different than Americans, but when you ask them how they're doing, they think you actually want to know how they're doing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it's true a lot of places outside the U.S. where we say, "How are you doing?" and you're really just saying hi. But in Russia, you say, "How are you doing?" and they'll be like, "Yeah, well, my dog died last week, and my foot hurts, and and they would tell you like in great detail just exactly how they're doing.
Someone stole my toilet.
Someone stole my toilet, so you'd get used to that, where that actually meant something very different. But when I came home from my mission, it was really weird that we all just used it the way we did, and then I got used to that, and now I'm back to the way I used to be. But
I think we had like an opposite situation where, like, if we say "how you doing," that we interpret that as a greeting, just hello.
yeah,
If I said, "Are you good?" How would you interpret that?
things are going well.
Well, I'd like
How you good? That means
as a question.
Hey,
like if I
are
said,
you okay,
"Here,"
man? Do you
Yeah,
need
you
to
good?
talk?
yeah. So that in Jamaica, "you're good" is just that's the greeting. It's hello. So my Jamaican companion, he'd go up to me and say, "You good?" Me being on my first month or so on my mission, I'd be like, "Man, it's such a hard time. I don't know what you're saying half the time." He's like, "I'm just saying hi."
I'm just greeting you.
In the Philippines, the closest thing to this was nobody's gonna take the last thing on the plate.
Oh yeah.
If it's left on the table, nobody touch it.
Was it considered? Wait, it was what?
It is insensitive to take the last bit of food.
So does it just get tossed? Really?
Yeah, because someone else might want it.
But then it gets
Nobody
tossed.
can want it.
Darn. I guess it's just a different thing
The other
culturally.
interesting Filipino thing, which is the thing I miss the most, is they don't point with their fingers; they point with their lips. So like this would be me pointing towards the laptop or over at the lamp, like. And so and they use pointing more because of it. I have to speak more in America, and I don't like it. I'd rather just be like, people get it. Like in a church meeting, just like if you're leading a discussion, you just point like brother so, and they know, and everyone gets it. And so every once in a while, my wife catches me pointing with my lips.
That's convenient.
That's fantastic.
Because I find myself like Jamaicans. They point as a I don't know what this is like a shop.
Well, I guess we should buy this.
Fine. Jamaicans would point as a greeting. They'd like point up, say big up, and they'd point up. And so like I find myself when I'm waving to people, I don't use my whole hand. I just point the finger up. And I'm still not broken from that.
That's fine.
I'm gonna keep an eye out for that now with you.
Actually, the best thing about Jamaican greetings is I had a companion that experimented with this a lot. Victor, our guest a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
so a lot of Jamaicans would greet each other by saying "ah," and that was just it. Just the ultimate guy conversation is you could just say that and they would know. It's like, I'm pink. I have bubbles. What?
They would say that?
They would say that. It's the best greeting in Jamaica. No. So people would just greet each other saying ah, and it was a whole conversation of just like, I'm doing good, how are you? My companion he would be like, if I can just go ah as a greeting, what else will people respond to? Like, what else can I use as a greeting? And so
There's a lot of grunting.
he would just go, "Wah," and people would go, ah, just normal conversation. And after he did this for a while, I don't know if someone just saw the missionaries greeting people that way and they followed suit, or if someone was just like absolutely off their rocker for a second. But we passed a guy and he looked a little busy. He was like a construction worker or something, holding like a pipe over his shoulder. And we'd go, ah, and he goes, and if you want like a proper sound bit to mimic what he was saying, he sounds like Homestar on Homestar Runner. It's exactly like him. And that just was what my favorite example of just seeing that you can use anything as a greeting in Jamaica and people will respond.
How is this the second time that Homestar Runner has come up on this show?
I don't know, but I wrote that in my email, so it's not just because of our audience right now. It's like that. The day I heard it, I said, if you want to know what this guy sounded like, look up Homestar.
I'm going to have to explain.
You're going to have to explain that to me.
I'll show you the candy video.
I derailed us. I don't remember what the question was or if we were even competing for
we
anything.
just decided that I was the most Russian on it.
I think that was JJ.
That's okay.
All right.
Wait, for real?
No. No, the Russians did not point with their lips. So I'm going to have to go with Mitchell.
Wait, what was my comment? What's the common
remember,
ground
but it had
here?
nothing to do with pointing with your lips. No, yours was, are you good?
Oh, okay.
Did they eat the last bit of food?
No, they would force it down you. They'd be like,
Yeah.
what, you don't like my cooking? And then they'd like give you more.
That's in high school. My friends and I would just greet each other as a Russian grandma and just say like, "You have skinny wrists. Must eat food."
Yes. Okay, I'm
We
gonna.
need to be going up.
Oh. I was just.
I'm trying.
jumping
Okay.
around, okay.
See,
Oh, they shoot the platforms out
did you not
across.
know- yeah, the birds.
I've just been focusing on bubbles. I'm trapping them.
Yeah, well, it's not helping because then we have less buttons.
Sorry. Can I trap myself in a bubble?
How do I?
Oh, I forgot to get you.
There it goes.
Ah.
Okay, what's our next one?
Okay, well.
We're 4-2.
So now-
Mitchell's winning by 2.
Now I gotta tell you a story about something that happened.
But is that because Mitchell's more Russian or because Mitchell has better stories? Or is it better
I'm
storytelling?
not gonna answer that. I'm gonna let you decide. It might be that Mitchell is not as mean to me as you.
I'm your favorite son-in-law.
You are my favorite son-in-law.
Wait,
okay.
This is the closest I've gotten to that statement in writing.
It is
right.
recorded and currently published
You are
on the internet. It can't be taken
you
down.
are currently my favorite
See,
son-in-law.
okay, this is legally binding.
If someone in the
now.
audience clips it,
On-
I don't know how to do that. I've
On
never watched
July,
people
what's the date today?
on Twitch. 18th.
18th, July 18th, 2024.
Let it be
You're
known
my
for all
favorite
future sons-in-law.
son-in-law. Yes.
I'm also the only one for anyone that hasn't caught on to that little tidbit.
He's excited about it though.
So,
So I have to tell you about a story. Mitchell, I don't know. Mitchell, have you ever seen the old BYU, I think it was a BYU film, a church film called How Rare a Possession?
that sounds
It's about an
familiar.
old Italian guy who finds his Book of Mormon.
Yeah, and
Right?
he's like
It's a book with
he's
no
like in
cover.
Catholic school or something,
Yeah,
right?
it's a book with
yeah.
no cover and
I
all
have
that.
seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 6 weeks left of my mission. We're out at the market buying food. That's all we ever did on P-Day. We'd like go buy food, we'd wash our clothes, and then P-Day was over. Like buying food would take us like 3 hours. So we're out there buying food, and this guy walks up to us. He's like, "Hey, are you guys Mormons?" And we're like, "Yeah." Usually when people say that, they've heard things, you know. He's like, "Well, I need to talk to you." We're like, "Okay." He says, "I found this book. He'd been in the alley.
What?
He'd been in some alley and found this book with no cover sitting on top of a garbage can. Now, I had been in this area for 11 months now.
Oh my god.
So pretty sure it's probably
Someone
one
you gave
of
it
mine.
to? Yeah.
He's like, I just felt like I needed to read it, so I took it home and I started reading it, and it's changing my life. I know it's true, but I need to learn more.
Wow.
And we're like, yeah, we can help you with that.
So how did he know to go approach you?
Well, so the cover was gone, but
Was it like a
the
movie?
title page was still there.
Uh-huh.
It's like the binding had been ripped off, but the title page was the Book of Mormon.
Wow.
And I'd been walking around. I mean, that last area was not that big. And not that many people in it. And so I think I talked to most of the people living there. But the people knew who we were. And so he chased us down. And so we went and started teaching him, just the most humble, sincere guy that I've ever met. He'd grown up atheist. And he had been a sniper in the army.
Wow.
He killed a bunch of people. I felt really bad about it. But he had never seriously considered the reality of God before. But when he started reading this book, he felt like guided to it, and he felt like he needed to learn more. And so he had a lot of questions about Jesus Christ, about the atonement, about just even teaching him how to pray. He'd never said a prayer before, and a lot of people hadn't that I taught, but for some reason, teaching him just was a whole different level. And he'd have questions and concerns, and we'd work through them, and he'd pray about it. And it was really cool to watch his life change. And his wife was less accepting of the gospel, and so eventually, after I went home, I think he didn't get baptized in order to stay with her. But when I left, when I went to the train station to leave Russia and come home, he was there, and he gave me a note, and he said that he talked about his experience praying and coming to know the reality of God and how much God loved him and cared for him, and just how life-changing that was for the first time that ever happened to him before. And that's pretty cool.
That'd be a really sweet thing to hear.
I don't know how many Book of Mormons I gave out in that area. There's quite a few, and it was cool that it kind of did some good to someone.
Did you give him another copy, or did you let him treasure the one he found?
We did give him a new copy, but he wanted to keep that old one.
I would have wanted that.
So Mitchell, whose mission is the illustration?
I don't have any. Again, mine's probably the opposite, where I've shared this before, but instead of having special experiences of people coming to find the Book of Mormon, we would set up lessons to take the Book of Mormon back from people because our mission ran out. So we would sit down, me and my companion, and we'd go, which of the people we've taught over the past couple months has a Book of Mormon and is the most likely to has not read it? And we would like plan lessons or just pop by and just like, hey, we gave you that book a while ago. Isn't it great? Aren't you loving it? And if they didn't read it, then we'd be like, oh man, can we have it back?
Can we have it back?
I'd go around. I installed the file for the Book of Mormon app on a memory card, so I just plug it into people's phones because they probably didn't have internet, and so I just
so you guys had cell phones?
We had like Nokia bricks, like not like smartphones, but yeah.
Did you?
Same as Mitchell. We had Nokia bricks.
The funniest thing in Russia was trying to find a payphone.
Did you have a phone in your home?
That worked. We did.
Okay.
But it was kind of like the power, right? Sometimes you just go out. And we had a safety rule that we had to contact each member of the district every night before we went to bed, just to make sure everyone got home that night.
Okay.
Well, and when their phones quit working, you were supposed to go out and find a payphone. There was probably
It seems like
1 or 2 payphones in my entire area. It's like you might walk a mile or 2 to get to the nearest payphone. And then it didn't take coins; it took tokens. You had to have the right tokens because inflation was so rampant. You know, the coin system was not keeping up. So you had to have these little tokens that you had to buy from the little street vendors.
This is sounding less safe than not checking in every night.
and so then, if
you want to tap A?
If you couldn't find, if you couldn't get a hold of them, if you're the district leader, then you'd have to travel all the way over to their apartment and make sure that they were there. If they,
How far away was that?
sometimes that could take 45 minutes, an hour, you know, because we relied only on public transportation or walking, and public transportation at that time wasn't super reliable just because of the economic challenges they were having. So that was always an adventure, going out at night to make sure that the missionaries were okay.
So my mission, and I automatically win this one, because my mission also had us do nightly check-ins on each other.
Really?
Yeah. Not so much for safety, but more to try and get the most out of our work and all that sort of stuff. So, but if we didn't reach somebody, we got the next morning.
I guess we didn't do nightly check-ins, but sisters in our mission, they had the African missionary schedule where they would go to bed at 10 instead of 10:30. They'd wake up at 6 instead of 6:30, and they would just immediately get ready and proselyte, and then all their studies were at night. And for a lot of sisters, that was really frustrating because if people worked like a 9 to 5, they're like, we can't teach you ever unless you're available the second you get off work.
Wow, interesting. I don't know who. I guess it's you because you did the missionary check-ins.
Yeah, 3 to 4. Okay, I only need 2 more to win.
3 to 4. So the next one is a partial story. It's just a teaser, really. So if your listeners want to hear the details, they're gonna have to track maybe you down and find out how to get a hold of JJ,
Okay.
and then get a hold of JJ's
And then I'll tell a false
wife,
story.
and then she can tell where her dad lives. But I had the opportunity to teach a first discussion while being held at gunpoint for being a spy.
And this was you volunteering to teach the first discussion. It wasn't teach the first discussion or else prove you're a missionary.
It was kind of more like I want to. The only way that I can salvage this thing is to come away with a good story for my grandkids. It's just really bad. This has to do with some of the other rules that I caused missionaries to have. In the mission, this one is about not taking pictures of things that they shouldn't take pictures of. So, anyway, I'll leave that one at that.
Oh. I was not held at gunpoint.
It's the scariest discussion that you ever taught, I guess. Or the most difficult circumstances.
I think. I did, not my companion, but my companion's companion taught at knife point. So right before I got to my mission previous, the packet with my mission call asked that I bring a bike or have money to buy a bike. But then as soon as I got there, the mission stopped having bikes. We were supposed to walk everywhere or take public transportation. Because apparently a lot of missionaries were they're robbed of their bikes.
Yeah.
And my companion's companion, some guys came up to them.
We didn't even bother to try because ours would not have lasted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He just had a guy come up to him with a knife and was trying to pat him down, take anything in his pockets, and steal his bike. And the whole time he was just testifying and just
good.
trying to think of some way to
In the
make the best of the
They're
situation.
gonna mug you. They open up your bag and they find a picture of Jesus, and they're like, "Oh, never mind." So we didn't quite have that issue.
Actually, that was pretty similar to Jamaica because there was a lot of gang activity, but it was such a Christian country that if they saw missionaries, the firing would sometimes stop. If there was something going on, they'd be like, "Those are men of God. We can't do something bad to them, or else something bad is going to happen to us."
So the tip for Filipino missionaries, if your family's sending you a package,
Put stickers of Jesus on it.
yeah, you put
Yeah.
stickers of Jesus on it.
Send one shoe at a time.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
But it sure makes sense to me.
Yes, indeed.
So we're supposed to find 5 flower coins?
I guess so. Oh!
We're all following you. Hey, a flower coin.
Hold on, let's go this way.
What?
I'm not sure how this works. I guess one of us got the crown.
Yes! Haha!
Can you think of a miracle that occurred on your mission that you would like to share?
A miracle.
That we didn't ask you to prepare something like that. Just curious if something
Well,
comes to mind.
there were a lot of small miracles. So probably a lot more small things than big things, except for miracles like, oh, the church didn't get kicked out of Russia. Oh, a lot of miracles like that. I remember one time I was in Volgograd doing some missionary training and exchanges, and we'd gone out and just set up, discussions while street contacting, and had tremendous success. We set up a discussion for that evening, and wrote down the address, went about our day. The rest of the day, that evening, we went out to go teach, and we walked out there, and the address didn't exist. And so either we'd written it down wrong, or they'd given us a bad address, which happens, And we were really disappointed because it had been a really nice family. They seemed really interested. And so we were like, okay, well, it's dark. It's starting to get late. It was the middle of winter in Volgograd, which is cold. And we started, so we just started walking down some random street. And we walked up to the street light, and we see this family coming toward us, and it's that family. And they recognize us. They're like, elders, where are you going? And we're like, you tell us. And we had just written one letter or number down wrong on their address.
Oh.
They waited for us. We hadn't come, so they'd gone out for a walk. And lo and behold, we just happened to run into each other, and so we went back to their house with them and just had a delightful discussion with them. And I don't know whatever happened to them because I went back to Rostov, but just little things like that happened a lot. That just remind you that you're not really quite in charge.
I guess something that came to mind for me is so a lot of the I guess a good chunk of the success I had came from did you have area books?
No, because I was the first missionary.
Okay.
2 of the 3 areas. We had a 3-ring binder with sometimes some notes, but not a lot.
So a lot of my success came from going through people in area books, and there was one person that we read because we had all their information about previous lessons they had, and they sounded really interested, and then it just stopped, and we weren't really sure why, so we wanted to go check in with them to see if they were still interested in being taught. But Jamaicans don't have addresses most of the time. It's usually, here's the name of your scheme, which is a neighborhood. It could be 300 houses.
Yeah.
And no number, no indication of a street. It's just they live in this neighborhood. Good luck. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't have a cell phone for this person, or no phone number at all, just the very, very vague address. Oh my gosh.
We've been down there before.
At some point we do need to figure out where this last flower.
Well, I think
no idea.
we might be able to give me a chance to go up that.
Pizza?
Yeah. So we decided we're going to pray and find this person. No matter, like, our plan for the day, because we have no lessons planned this day, is we're just gonna proselyte in this neighborhood and we'll find this person. And we had like the whole day reserved for going through these 300 houses, finding the person. Give me the crown. I made it. To find this person in the middle of this neighborhood that just, like, she could be anywhere. Oh my gosh. Said a prayer before we started. Said, please help us find this person. We really hope she's interested. Knocked on one door and it was her house. Out of like all these 300 houses. It was a really big tender mercy. It was actually kind of funny. So we met her. She pulled out like the Book of Mormon missionaries gave her previously. It was really sweet. And then, did we just leave?
I don't know.
No. And then we taught her on her porch, because you usually don't teach people inside their houses. You just sit on their front porch. That's a good idea. And we saw moths on her walls that I thought were just decoration, but they just sitting there, not with their wings open. They had like a 5-6 inch wingspan, and they were huge. I thought they were fake. But then the next day we went over there again and they were in a different spot. And then she said, oh, those are my pets. They just hang around here a lot. And I thought she was just messing with us. I thought she was taking props and like sticking them to different parts of the walls because it was a silly thing to play on American missionaries. And then I learned about a year and a half into my mission that what I thought were bats flying over my head for most nights were moths. That were just like the size of bats. They were like this wide when their wings were open. They were huge. Could not believe it. This lady just had 2 of them just on her porch at all times. I guess flew away at night and came back and stayed there every day.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay, let's solve this puzzle. We are exactly where we were at when we left.
Okay, so give me the crown. Give me the crown.
How?
Die.
I can't.
No.
Who's Yoshi?
Then give me your controller.
Is the idea to get on top of this? Because I can disprove that. If we come in here,
Does it just take you to like a...
we can see the top. There's nothing up there.
Okay. Well, it's there for a reason, so maybe there's more invisible blocks around it.
It's the reason it was there is because there was a coin next to it.
Okay, so maybe we should try all the other tubes over here?
I've been trying to try them as we went through.
Maybe there's a wall we can go through like in the other New Super Mario Bros. Games?
That's what I was thinking, but I haven't found
Because this spot's like dark for no reason. Maybe that's just the pattern.
What about...
Every time Yoshi does his flutter kick, I think there's like a child crying.
Oh,
you can't hear it! It's like, why aren't you guys saying anything?
We're like, huh?
You just go... I don't know what to do. Maybe there's an invisible block at like the very beginning. Well, no, so maybe it's kind of in an order.
Yeah,
we got this one right here.
And this is the first one?
That's my guess.
And then this was the third one.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere in between.
Could it be underneath this bridge I'm standing on?
We came up from under there, but still not ruling it out. Was there like a recommended badge for this level?
Not that I could see. We only have the 2. They wouldn't do anything because the other one's the dolphin. And I was wondering if there's something here, but...
You've wall jumped up and down that like 6 times.
Yeah. Okay, what level is this called? Do we...
No!
We don't look it up?
What?
Okay.
Is that how you play video games?
No, that's how you
Oh,
ruin video
JJ,
games.
my image of you is shattered.
I mean... You've played 3D Red with me enough to know that I don't look up in that game. I just throw you off, and that's all I play.
But there's no throwing
Wait,
off
did I
in this
just die?
game.
Yeah, because you went out of bounds, and then you didn't touch somebody fast enough as a ghost. So if you touch me now, I save you. But I've been doing a really good job of avoiding Mitchell and his ghosts. Which is why all our lives are gone.
Okay, there's got to be like an invisible block somewhere.
Seriously, yeah. I genuinely have no idea where it would be, though.
Were there ever days where you couldn't go proselyting because of the weather?
We were not allowed to go outside when it got below 40 below.
Oh my gosh.
In Fahrenheit or Celsius?
And 40 below is
Doesn't
the
matter,
same
it's
in
the
both
same.
of them. That's where they meet.
And that only happened a few times, actually.
Oh, I was a ghost in the background. That's why I couldn't go to you. 40 below. Was there ever like a snowstorm, or was it that stopped you, or was it just cold?
We went out in the snow. We would get some decent snow. We probably never got more than, 6 or 8 inches of snow at a time.
Okay.
But it would get pretty messy, slushy, a lot of potholes in the roads, and so the cars would drive by and hit them, and you had to, keep your eyes open.
What was Russian public transportation like?
Super
And how did they deal with the snow?
It was very crowded, and you had the trams and the buses and the trolleys. We didn't have a metro in our city; it wasn't big enough. But the big cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg all have metros as well. It was pretty standard public transportation.
Possibly, I'll jump up
another
there.
interesting thing that happened to me is because we were so new. I told you we'd rent out schools. We met one winter in a schoolhouse that had no heat, and so like everybody would come in, and they would just leave their winter coats and their hats and gloves on, and they would just sit there and freeze. Keep church as short as we could. But
Don't go to the left.
I had a story that I was going to tell, and I just forgot it.
About
I
renting
really
the schoolhouse,
This level.
temperature, weather.
Something. I'm sure it was something to do with one of those. It's a good story, I'm sure. Help me, help me, help me, he said.
Get over here!
Hey, you guys want to play tag?
You know how well I do with that, right? Help me! Oh, hey, I thought I got you. Gotcha.
Okay, first person.
You got me.
Well, we're down to 0 lives now.
Okay, so I can kill Paul.
I'm
Yeah, 'cause
sure
the-
you could.
I won't come back.
Help me! Help me! Oh, you're so cool!
Oh no.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. We didn't have access to General Conference because there was no satellite. I mean, this is before the internet.
Yeah.
Right? There was no satellite transmission to Russia. We had no satellites to receive it, and we weren't organized enough to even get the enzyme for the Leonhona. And so the first time that I had a chance to read General Conference, I was at the mission home as the AP at the time, and I was going to take some missionaries to the train station, or go pick them up from the train station. And I'd been at the mission home, and they had a copy of the enzyme that they had gotten from one of the general authorities when they had been in Germany.
Wow.
And so I borrowed it, and I took it to the train station. And it was the copy from when President Hinckley was first made the prophet.
Oh, wow.
You're like, there's a new prophet?
And so I sat down. The train was about 20 minutes late, so I sat down, and my companion had gone off to check on the train. And so I was just sitting there, and it's the middle of the summer, it's humid, it's hot, and I just started reading the opening lines from President Hinckley. It says, now's the time to be strong, and it was just a super inspiring quote. But I just remember after not hearing General Conference for probably 18 months, it was just really powerful.
Yeah.
And just gave me a really strong testimony. President Hinckley is a craft leader. Just the blessing of having prophets in our lives. That's pretty cool.
So did you know he was the prophet before you opened
Yes.
that up? Okay.
Yeah, I did know, and had a chance to tell all of the. But this was not right after conference. This is like 4 or 5 months
Right.
later. Because this would have been probably August, and he had spoken in April in the April conference. So. But yeah, no temples, no general conference, no none of that.
That's a lot.
So we got our general conference a week late. Is that Russian enough?
That's
Because of
pretty
time zone
Russian.
difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we got all the stuff spoiled. So when they announced 2-week church and new general authorities,
By the members that stayed up to watch it.
come follow me. Not even that. Just our families.
Oh,
Would be
okay.
on Monday.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Oh, that's right. You guys had email.
Yeah.
Not only that, last 4 months of my mission, I got to call home every week.
Mm-hmm.
They made that decision of calling home while I was on the plane home from my mission.
Oh wow,
That I already came out.
that's funny.
So I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast. It's not, or on the show. It's not my story, but it's my grandfather's story. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's when my grandfather was going home.
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh, this is fantastic. Let me hop on someone's back so that I can tell
Okay.
this. So, Elder Sanders is off on his mission, and they didn't have email, they had faxing. This is how they would communicate, but they could only do it sparingly, like there's limitations to it. So, they're getting
You
ready to go
didn't get
home.
to fax.
They're getting ready
You
to
know
go
better than
home,
your grandfather.
and they only faxed because they were going home.
Oh.
To tell them, hey, we're coming to
Oh.
pick us up.
Got it.
And so he and Elder Child, his companion, they send the fax and they send it to my great-grandparents so they can pick them up and so they can let Elder Child's family know.
Uh-huh.
And that was common enough where you say, oh, Elder Sanders and Elder Child will be coming home on this day. And they're like, oh, we should go track down and figure out Elder Child's family and we can all meet them and pick them up in Salt Lake. And so they send the fax over and then they spend like a week and a half traveling. They're going by boat. They're stopping off in New York and seeing like the World Fair and all that sort of stuff. They finally get to Salt Lake and the train arrives and my great-grandparents are there, but Elder Child's parents aren't there. And they're like, we were so confused. The fax said Elder Sanders and his child will be arriving. So my great-grandparents get this fax about their son on a mission that he and his child will be arriving by train on this date. And so they had to drive Elder Child all the way home because his family didn't know. But yeah, that's my favorite coming home from a mission story.
That was funny.
So is my grandfather Russian. Which I really like this question of who's...
Yes.
Who's the most Russian?
Yeah, well, I like it for whatever guests we have in the future. Who's the most Texan?
It was going to be Mitchell, but I don't know. But you know what? That was your grandfather. That wasn't.
Yeah, no, that's not my
you.
story.
Wait, which one was your story?
Maybe your grandpa gets this point.
Well, what was the question?
Who's the most Russian?
Who's the most Russian?
Oh, not my grandfather.
I told a story, didn't I? Oh, I told a story about conference. So you were a week late.
Yeah, I was a week late. That's
you
why
were-
you thought it was going to me.
We had conference. We didn't have a temple.
Okay, 4 and 4.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Okay, 4 to 4.
Okay, I only need one more to win.
Oh, we need a good.
We're
We
stopping
need a
at
good
5.
one.
Yeah, you need to
Okay, hang on. Let me see if
No, we're just taking 20
we
minutes.
gotta
on
have
this
some
one.
talk.
Pick the
Okay.
best one.
The best one that's left.
I win that one, but I don't know if you were wanting to share that.
Yeah, we probably want to do toilet.
You can't.
Toilet stories.
You
okay.
can't bias the decision. I'll pick one. You pick the 6th one from the top. Or if you find one better.
Did I tell you the one about the birthday party? Or is that earlier? I told you.
Mitchell, did you
Not during
have a
this
birthday
show.
party?
Okay.
So I was during the show.
Is there a large picture of Stalin and a butcher knife there too?
No, there wasn't.
Funny you should ask.
So, you know, when I went on my mission, oh, there's so many good stories. I gotta tell the cockroach story first, and then I'll tell the birthday party story. One of my apartments that we moved into, when we got rid of the
Hey, jump real quick. Jump on the dock. There we go. Let's do this.
when
You can still climb.
Yeah, we left the landlady who had moved into our house, and we got a new place where the owners had collected aluminum cans, like soda cans of different kinds of soda.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why. I don't know if maybe they just didn't have aluminum cans under the Soviet system, and then, you know, when everything opened up in 1990, you know, but for whatever reason he had an aluminum can collection.
Oh, this wasn't like for like recycling. This was like
No, this was like decoration in the kitchen. They had, you know, you'd have the hot water pipes would come in and feed the radiators to heat the place. But then those hot water pipes would go all around the top of the kitchen. And they had stacked aluminum cans all along that pipe, all the way around the kitchen. And when we moved in, we had cockroaches in the apartment. And my companion was like, hey, I sold pest control summers before my mission to earn money to come on my mission. I know what I'm doing. So we went over to the market and found some good, you know, bug killer. And he bombed the kitchen. Well, it turns out that these aluminum cans hadn't been rinsed out before they'd been placed all around. And so you have this sticky, sugary inside on a hot water pipe. So it's warm, it's moist, it's sugary, and there were so many cockroaches in there that when he bombed it, literally thousands of cockroaches came out of his aluminum cans and they ran out on the ceiling. And they filled the entire ceiling, and then they would die, and they would rain down all through the whole kitchen. Thousands of them just raining down, dead. After that, we threw the cans away. Anyway, that was pretty cool. That was epic.
Okay.
I'm sure you guys
Hey,
had.
Mitchell, who's the most Russian?
Mine does not quite reach that level, but so in Jamaica, every time I had to lift something up that was dark underneath, I could expect a few cockroaches. But at one baptism where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, the water was out. So like the water pressure, I should say, was really low in the font, and we wouldn't fill it in time. So we had to think of other creative ways to. Well, first we had to troubleshoot, try to get the water to work first. So the solution at first was go outside and. No! Solution was go outside and lift up a flap in the lawn of the church and twist like a little valve to increase the water pressure, hopefully, if that was the problem. And none of us wanted to do it because we had a pretty good idea of what was going to be underneath. Luckily, I was not the one that had to do it, but we lifted up the flap, and it was just pitch black in there, and you can vaguely see the outline of the handle for the valve. And so we all looked like, it looks okay. One of you reach your hand down in there. The other person got a flashlight out and shined it in as one of the elders was reaching his hand in, and we just saw every possible surface was covered in roaches, and they just started scattering all over the place once we shined the light in there. It was just the most terrifying thing as someone was reaching their hand in there. And then same thing happened, or at least pretty similar. Oh, a cloud. Just in our home, we had no water pressure, and so we had to like reach under a tile in our kitchen so that we could turn on our water pressure. And wait, can both Yoshis eat? You can. All right, there's my roach story. I mean, just all other roach
That's
stories.
pretty good.
So my roach story isn't about roaches, it's about rats. I'm going to talk about all the rats that I filmed.
Oh, oh boy.
So this was in the apartment with no water where we couldn't do our dishes. Hence, there were rats that lived there. They would come into the house via the kitchen sink. So, every day we came home, if we walked towards the sink, a rat would jump out and scurry and run towards the door. So my companion and I got really good at stepping on it. And so we'd come in the house, and we would just lunge, and we would time it perfectly so that we would land on these big rats and we would get them. So I killed like two that way. One of them I managed when we were on exchanges and I was at the apartment. I trapped it behind a bookshelf. And I managed to get a cup in there and kill it that way. The last one, and this is what's going to win it for me, is one day I got in my suitcase, and there's a big fat rat in my suitcase. And so slowly I took everything out, but the walls of the suitcase were so slippery that it couldn't climb out. I don't know how long it was in there, but it was stuck. I couldn't get out. So eventually I got it. I got all my stuff out, and so there's just a rat in my suitcase, and I had an empty Pringles jar. So I put it in, and it walked in the can, and I put the lid on, and I cut a hole in the top, and then I put it underneath the sink, and then the landlord showed up a minute later, and I said, "What is this?" And I tipped it over, and the water comes out with the insides. And the landlord just kind of looks at me and goes, "Good job." So that's my attempt at pest control mission story.
Wait, go back.
No.
Go back, there's a seed! You're missing all the wonder of this game, JJ.
I thought the wonder was in the audio.
That is pretty wonderful.
So who's the most Russian? And remember, I'm your favorite son-in-law.
Well,
I just lost him.
Wait, don't let it disappear. Don't let it disappear.
Why not?
I don't know if it disappeared.
there were
Oh, it does.
there were rats in my mission, but not tons. There were more cockroaches. I think yours is a better story, and his is more like my mission.
No, I'm not losing this fight. Now we have to do two more for
I'm
me to
giving
win.
Mitchell, but I did have one more story.
I was gonna say rapid fire. We got time.
So the next one is, we would have, because everything, was just opening up in Russia, and Americans were still novelties. People were excited to talk to us about America. We'd have, there'd be American discussions, and there would be missionary discussions, right? And so we always had to try and be careful and say, no, really, we're going to talk about the gospel. We're not going to talk about Michael Jordan or whatever. So we got invited to one family invited us over. We got there, and instead of a discussion, it was a birthday party.
What?
In birthday parties, they were so excited because the Americans were coming to their birthday party, right? And they had all of the alcohol and all of the everything, and this party was in full swing when we showed up.
Uh-huh.
And so we couldn't just not walk in, but at the same time, we were like, we don't want to stay here. Everybody's drunk, right? Or not drunk, but just pleasantly happy. And so we talked for a little while, and then we were about ready to just leave and blow the whole thing off. But my companion said, "Hey, why don't we leave you with a song?" And my companion had just a beautiful singing voice, and so we sang him "I'm a Child of God," and it just completely changed the whole mood of the room. And it was really cool, and they were touched, and they said, "Hey, we realized that maybe this isn't what you had planned on. Maybe you could come back and teach us."
Wow.
So we did, and they were just fantastic. They listened, they prayed, they searched, they And you know, they learned it and they were converted. We when we got to talking about the word of wisdom, I could tell something was going on there. You know, just from their response, and it turns out that the husband was an alcoholic, and that alcohol was just killing their marriages, cutting their family apart. And he said, you know, I want to change. I want to do this. It turns out that they had been in the process of being divorced over his alcoholism. And so eventually the whole family got baptized. The godmother who had been at the birthday party also took the discussion. She got baptized. We always joked that she was going to be the primary president for our group. We didn't have a branch yet.
The mission.
For the mission. And that family just, they changed their lives. But I was always grateful that we stopped and sang that song and didn't just walk out of their lives forever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I guess one thing that could be interesting to talk about, if you'd rather not, that's fine as well. But right now, like there's a war between Russia and Ukraine, and you've got people that I'm assuming you have a few people that you stay in touch with, things like that. What are your thoughts on everything that's going on? How is this impacting people?
So I actually haven't talked with a lot of mission people recently, particularly since the war in Ukraine. My experience in Russia was that the people that I met with and talked with were remarkable. They were kind, they were loving, and they were stuck with a government that was corrupt and made life very difficult. So the whole situation with Ukraine, it breaks my heart to see there's so much death, so much suffering. And it's not because of the people of Russia, it's because of leadership and the situation that they're in. And it's something that they've struggled with for a very long time. When I left Russia, I didn't want to leave, you know. It was one of the hardest things that I did was to leave. And I knew that I needed to go home, but boy, I just had grown to love the people there so much. And what I see is people who are just kind of stuck in a hard situation. But as I'm sure you guys find out in the areas that you served, the people up there are just amazing. Mm-hmm. They're just good people. Just like I think about everywhere. So, I don't know if either of you is going to try and say about how good the people were where you served and get your point.
I was going to say, you know what? You know who really wins? I think your mission was the most
It was the most Russian.
It was. But
besides that, I think Mitchell won. I'm just glad we weren't competing for favorite son-in-law, because that is my competition to lose.
Yes, it is. And if Mitchell had won that, that would have been really embarrassing for you. How are we doing on our game, by the way?
I'll be honest. Every time there's been dialogue on the screen, I have not been paying attention. So I'm pretty sure
I think we reached the halfway point a second ago.
Well,
Did we win?
but there's like 5 worlds or something, and we've only beaten 1.
Only beaten 1 world? Hey, someone help me.
Oops.
Thank you. Oh, I just died again. Come help
See,
me
this
again.
is why I don't help you guys.
You're the cause of our death.
Well, keep up.
No!
No!
I love the concept of you guys shouting, "You're the cause of our death," as the game over screen appears.
Well, if you would only save me. Oh, I've got the crown. Someone quick, take it from me.
I can't.
Go jump off, we'll take it.
Ah, I'm dying.
Where's it go to?
Oh, that's what we needed to do? We just needed to go through one of these?
What was that power block for? Should I have kept it for, like, going down? Whoops.
Probably.
Everything I've tried to carry hasn't gone through to these screens.
Someone help me.
You're beyond my power. Is this supposed to move? Oh, it does move.
It moves.
No.
But we could also just take off the cloud.
That is an idea.
Alright, let's go.
Oh! We need the cloud for the... No! So we are short on time.
Alright.
Oh no, the cloud runs out!
Yeah, it runs out in every...
Should we finish up this last level then and then call it good there?
That's probably fine. Oh, you can jump on the things where they spit.
Whoa, I can shoot the things they spit.
Nice. Oh, I have the crown now.
There we go, this is our ending point.
Okay.
Help me.
Okay.
Help me.
So, summarizations. If you were to talk to somebody considering to go on a mission right now, what would you say?
Well, my experience, it's hard to say what I would say without sounding very, it's like you always hear, oh, it's like the best 2 years of my life. It was 2 of the most difficult years of my life to that date. I remember the day I got to Russia, I just had all the smells and the sounds and everything was different and the food tasted funny and just kind of that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, like, how am I going to do this for 2 years? But the experiences that I had changed my life. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's 2 of the most transforming years of my life. And I shared a lot of funny experiences today, but the experiences of working with people and watching God touch and change their lives, and then watching God change my life, is something I wouldn't trade for anything. And so, it's going to be hard. The things in life that mean the most are hard. And the things in life that change you the most are the hard things. But they're the things that you'll remember the rest of your life. So I'd say do it.
Well said.
Very much worth it. Well, thank you for being our guest. It was really fun.
Thanks for having me. I'm afraid I didn't contribute much to the game. But
You had the crown for a while. You kept JJ at bay for a little bit.
for about 30 seconds.
I rode you through one level. I was trying to see if how long I could stay on some of the comments. So you won that level.
I did see you riding on me.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Well,
squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean.
clean.
Mission and something that rhymes with clean. See ya.
Bye.